Okay, now I have this crazy idea of both just rambling and creating both simultaneously an audio version and a written version so I can just see my own thoughts. But anyway, I guess I was thinking about this experiment and these ideas that I always have to do something kind of grand, but maybe sometimes it's too much. So I've been learning. I've always enjoyed learning, but I think my goal now is to be a little bit more on the side, on the on the creative and the producing instead of just consuming. And even though learning is one of the most productive ways to consume, I think this idea of producing and learning by doing is something that I never really taken on in a really intense way. So I want to try to do that, and I want to basically just um, go for it. Just do little silly toys, silly ideas, and not worry too much about what people think. Eventually get to that point where I'm just doing constantly things I'm afraid to do. Eventually do things like public speaking, maybe try my hand at stand-up comedy, not to get great, but just to do it, just to do these things. I remember watching this video that I still rewatch from time to time. There's a few people that I really enjoy, and one of them is this guy that talked about being in a near-death experience, and he realized that life is so short, and so he started to do this concept of just creating all the time, every day, producing something, because you don't have enough time to do everything you want to do. For example, you want to create a comic, you just do it. Don't wait so long. Just keep doing things slowly and, or not slowly, but quickly. A version of a comic can be done in a day if you really wanted to, or a quick little book or poem or whatever it is, a song. Just my tendency has always been to be more of a person that likes to experiment, but mostly consume and learn how to do things quote unquote the proper way. And that's a very long road, which I think has merit. But at the same time, I'm always amazed by people who just do things and just might not even take any time to research at all. I think there's a balance. I think what I want to do is just flip it, do the opposite of what I'm doing now, which is I consume so much and I try to build up so much knowledge before I actually put things out. And even then, my things are not even that great when I do this process, and they're limited. There's not as much out there, and I've already learned enough. I think, even though I don't feel that I've learned enough, I think there's enough in my brain. Uh, Other people that I really like include, I think, a woman named Barbara Sher, recently Rick Rubens, and even David Goggins. I like some of his ideas. I also like some of the guy who wrote Deep Work. I forget his name, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much. I like the philosophy of Naval, but I also started to kind of get the key ideas of old school philosophers, which I guess people just more or less were repackaging old ideas a lot of the time and adapting them to our needs, or I guess as Naval put it, to the modern age. Um, but these ideas can come from within, I think. And that's what I think both David Goggins' interview and Rick Rubin's that I watched, one with Huberman with David Goggins and the other one with Joe Rogan with Rick Rubens. I started to read Rick Rubin's book too, but at the end of the day, I think both of them kind of had a similar idea, which is like, or it took different things from them, but I love the idea that Rick Rubens kind of doesn't forget, doesn't remember his own work, even his book, or what he said in a podcast about death with Lex Friedman recently. It's just so funny, and I actually kind of true for me too. Like I always try to remember and be consistent, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I guess most people don't really remember, or some of us can't really remember everything we've said, and that's okay. Um, I think it's pretty normal. It's not as abnormal as you might think. I think the more abnormal ones are the ones who can't remember everything, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, who else do I really appreciate or like? I'm not really sure. I think, um, oh yeah, learning how to learn. I've always appreciated and loved this idea of just being able to learn more efficiently. Is something that I always revisit. But I guess we are consumed by efficiency. But I also like the contrast of just being bored, which I think deep work does put in a pretty good framework combined with how to do good work. But Comfort Crisis, I think, really highlights things that I keep seeing over and over again, which is the idea of like just thinking about death is such a great tool. We're all gonna die, but also how perhaps we are constantly, how would I put it? Um, Basically looking for more easy way of life as opposed to the hard road, which I guess David Goggins highlights to an extreme. But this idea of doing hard things is in many ways very beneficial to us. And so I haven't done a lot of that. I think I did a little bit of that in my little trip through South America. And that was really enjoyable. It pushed me to do things I might not have done, but I'm really glad I've done. But now I think one of the coolest things about uh, one of the coolest things about what I've been doing recently is just this reading and tackling kind of harder concepts that I've always wanted to tackle. So I guess this is in a way one of them. This is a way to tackle and kind of I have this idea, I guess you can call it like a philosophy that you might just be able to find, or I might be able to find what I gravitate towards by doing this experiment. Because I think one of the things I'm searching for is what do I find that I really enjoy doing and could just keep doing and doing. And there's not really, I guess Noel puts it as what seems to be work to others, but is fun to you is not work. So it's actually something you just want to keep doing, and you can quote unquote outwork everybody else because it's not something you see as actual work. Um, and so this philosophy, I think of distilling yourself down to just in a very similar way that Goggins distills himself to the core of just never giving up. Just distilling your creativity and your boredom so that it pushes you to push everything out through being bored slash meditating all the time into what you actually want to produce, what you actually want to look up, what you actually want to crave to do. So I'm gonna experiment. I think one is to force myself just 4 hours a day of producing, but maybe even making it more flexible where I'm not producing, but I'm not consuming. And maybe I'm just meditating all the time, but maybe I crave production.